everyone, I'm Larissa Russell of Creative You, and I'm your host of the Creative Soul Healing Podcast. Here's where we talk about the connection between creativity and healing by interviewing amazing creatives, spectacular healers, and inspiring people who have used creativity in their healing. What does it mean to be creative? What is creativity? You don't have to write a best-selling book or paint a masterpiece or even play in a rock band. Creativity is in everything that we do, in the ways we think, in the way we run a business. In our everyday lives, we are creative all the time. Let's talk about how we are creative and how creativity helps us heal mentally, physically, and emotionally, right now on the Creative Soul Healing Podcast. Hi, everyone. Larissa Russell of Creative You, and welcome back to the Creative Soul Healing Podcast. Today, I have with me Nikol Wikman. Nikol was one of our presenters for the second annual Loving, Healing, Creating Summit that we ran in February. And she shared a wonderful painting tutorial that if you missed it, you'll want to check it out. So you can still get access to that summit at www.creativeviewhealing.com. So Nikol lives in Victoria, BC. She's a fellow Canadian. She lives with her husband and 2 children. She's been an artist for as long as she can remember. She loved art class in school and spent hours upon hours sketching. As Nikol grew up, she experimented with different creative avenues: sewing, sculpting, stained glass beading, making jewelry. I have done all of those. Anything to feed the creative yearning in her soul. I totally understand that. In her 20s, Nikol decided to try painting again, and which she hadn't done since high school. She painted simple pieces for her apartment and loved it. It was so fun to grab a canvas, throw some paint on it, and have her own unique piece of art. Now she has painted hundreds, maybe even thousands of paintings. Nikol has been able to connect and share her love of art with like-minded souls from around the world. She has sent paintings to far-off places she'll maybe never get to visit herself, especially now. Nikol feels so lucky and grateful every day for what art has brought into her life. So welcome, Nikol.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be
I love
here.
that. It's true. When you're creative, you often just keep trying things, right? And yeah, I find I have to have my finger in everything. And so
I have to really hone in on painting.
which I don't think I am a painter, but I don't think I ever honed in on one thing that I had to do. And so yeah, I still have my finger in everything.
My budget required it. I was like, I have to stop buying random things. I bought a Cricut machine, and it's like a running joke in the family that I bought this Cricut machine and I never did anything with it because I'm terrible at card making. I don't know what I was thinking. And then after that, my husband was like, you need to reel it in, girl. $500 on this machine you're not going to use is not going to work for us.
It's so funny because we're actually having that argument in our house right now because I've decided I need one. I need a Cricut machine.
See, I think now they're a bit better and easier to use. I bought it in the early days when they were pretty you had to buy cartridges and it was an investment that I did not get my money out of.
Oh, that's so funny. It is because my niece got one, and so it was oh, now I have to have one because I can't run to her for everything I need. So I need to have my own. And so we're having this debate on whether or not that is a need or a want.
It might be a want, but you might be better at paper crafting than me, though. So
I'm making an argument for a need. I am making that argument.
It's a need. Your creative part is important.
Exactly. So Nikol, can you share some of your story and how you ended up doing what you do?
Yeah, I've always, like you said, I've always sort of been an artist. I was always the artsy kid at school, and I took art classes and all of that. So it's always something that I really enjoyed. And then I had a baby, and I was on maternity leave, and I was kind of lonely. My husband was a chef. He was working long hours, and then it started coming time to go back to work, and I don't know, I was having a bit of a crisis. And I started reading books, and it was do what you love, find your passion, and all of that stuff. And I started thinking, well, what do I like? And I kind of came back around to painting. And so my son napped really well, so I would paint while he napped, and it just sort of grew into this thing. And then I started to think, with the internet and being able to connect online and not have to go through the gallery route necessarily, it was just something that became really interesting to me. And I started to think, well, maybe there is something to this, something that I could do and still work and still be a mom. And yeah, so he's just turned 12. And it's been quite a ride. From
Yes,
painting the dining room table, and then now I have a studio, and it's baby steps though.
it's true. You have to start in one place and keep at it. But now, you've got works in different stores and different all over the world and different places like that. So yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome that you took that passion and turned it into, what you do. So what would you say healing with creativity means to you?
Well, for me, it's a huge part of how I keep myself just grounded, and I always have art to go to. So, it started for me with that. Having a baby was, I know it's like this sort of exciting and wonderful part of your life on one hand, and on the other hand, I felt like I had lost who I was. None of my friends had children. And of course, with my husband working all the time, I just felt really lonely. And so having that thing to fulfill that part of me. And then later on, I lost, my father and my grandfather within a couple of months of each other. And again, painting has just sort of been this thing that it's almost like meditation. I can turn off my brain. I can just play with the colors. And it just always brings me this sort of back to this place of joy and fun. And, it's sort of a celebration of life. Like you're getting to do something fun while we're here, play the game and have some fun. And I don't know, it's a huge, huge part of my mental health.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Like I teach healing with creativity, right? So I think that all creativity is healing, but when you put intention behind it, even more so. But when you can allow yourself to just shut off and create and get into that meditative state, as opposed to the, having to create something, having to create a specific something, when you can just let it go, I think that is huge. It's huge.
Yeah. And I think that's really hard for people often, is the letting go part. I think a lot of people are painting or creating for outcome and not for the enjoyment of the process.
Yes.
And I feel like if you can find something that you enjoy the process, that's where the magic is. It's not so much being great at something. It's about finding something that you enjoy the process so much. It doesn't matter what the outcome is.
Yeah. And I talk about the process all the time, because that's what it's about for me. But yeah, when I do my own works, if I really try to make a painting specifically, like, oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this, I struggle with it. But when I can just let go and just be like, oh, okay, show me what I need to do today, right? Universe, flow through me, and it makes all the difference.
Yes. Oh, that's so fun. That's exactly how it is for me too. And people always want you to paint something specific. I'm like, I can't do that.
No, and I stopped doing commissions years ago because of that, right? Because I couldn't. Yeah. I can maybe pick some colors but I cannot recreate something. I can't be like, okay, it's gonna have a square here and a swirl there or whatever. That's not how it works in my world.
It doesn't work. Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
I actually find that a big challenge when I'm teaching, because if I'm teaching an online class, I'm trying to teach sort of a linear, this is the step 1, step 2, step 3, and I get really nervous ahead of time, like, oh gosh, is this gonna work? Am I gonna be able to get to the end, or am I gonna be showing them a whole bunch of weird steps that don't make sense because I'm going to paint over it? But I've learned that that's part of what people will learn from me, is letting go and kind of moving through it. But it's a definite challenge.
It's funny what you say about the painting over things, because I think with art journals now, more people are recognizing that you put stuff down and you cover it up, and you put stuff down and you cover it up. But still, if they have a canvas in front of them, they struggle with that. And it's like, okay, let's do the same thing, right? Like, put something down and cover it up, and put something down and cover it. You might have a little piece poking out. You might have, nothing poking out. It could just be the texture. But yeah, it's all about that layering and letting go and letting it happen. So yeah.
Yes. Oh, I love that your thinking is so like
So do you think you have a driving force that inspires you?
they're so similar. It's so fun to talk to someone. I don't know, fun. I just enjoy it. It's fun. I think also really for me, there has been this undertone because it is sort of something I've done as a business. There is this sort of undertone of like, could I do that? What if I did this? Would it work? Could I make money from my art? Could it? So it sort of became like a game of like, how can I turn this into something that is, uh, you know, could I be a person who doesn't just work my 9 to 5? Maybe I could. Maybe, and that fun and that excitement of not knowing and the challenge has always been kind of a definitely a
Driving force, yeah. Do you have a past pain then that's informed your life purpose and how you do things?
Hmm, that's a good question. Not that I'm fully aware of. I feel like I've always had this sort of inner resistance to doing things. I sort of have this, although it wouldn't really be past pain, but I sort of have this sort of thing inside of me, this sort of push and pull between doing what I'm supposed to do and what I would like to do. And that sort of has been a huge part of the art for me. I don't know if I'm articulating that very well. Um, and I don't know if that stems from something or whether that's just I'm just born with it. Or my mom's very she's so good, she's all very organized. She worked her way up from the bottom to the top in her work, and she's just very different in that way. But I think she didn't necessarily do what she wanted to do with her life, but she did quite well at it. And I think, and then she always raised us in this sort of be responsible, learn to type, um, and do all of that stuff. And I there's this part of me that always wanted to fulfill that, and then this other part of me that really just always knew that there was something different I wanted to do. And luckily, she's very supportive. I should make sure that I say that she's lovely and one of my biggest fans and supporters.
Usually once they start to see, what you can do with it, they become a little more supportive, I find.
Yeah.
Those ones that are like, you can't make a living at this. And it's like, oh, but maybe I can, right? So,
Yeah, totally. And yeah, I don't think she never was like, don't do that. It was just sort of like, well, you need the backup plan or you need to do, which is, I'm grateful because, my day job, which I still have, has helped me to be a better like business person. I can, I was able to build a website. I was able to, not that my job is specifically related to that, but I think that the skills that I picked up, customer service and all of that stuff has actually helped me to be better at what I'm doing anyway. So
yeah, I completely understand that. I was in project management before, so I find that those skills have definitely helped me.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, organizing summits and all that. Yeah, exactly. I needed a better job to do that.
So I know there's a lot of thought that goes into like whether you should monetize, healing or creative works. And what are your thoughts on that?
I feel like you should do what feels good for you. Like it sounds really, cheesy, but if making art feels good just in and of itself, I don't think it needs to be monetized. And at the same time, if you want to, why not? Like, why not do that? I don't think it dirties it in any way. In fact, it can, for me, it helps it because, that budget I was talking about earlier, as I can now pay for, even through the years when I wasn't actually earning what you call a living, I'm able to buy some supplies because maybe I sold a painting or something like that. And I think when we put ourselves out into the world, it also helps give other people permission to do that for themselves too. So it's just a beautiful circle of But whatever feels good. I'm all about whatever feels good.
I like that. Whatever feels good. I like it. What would you say you're proudest of in your life?
I think that I did it. I feel like not that I'm any kind of crazy success or anything like that, but just that I think for a long time I talked about it and about that I wanted to do it, that I wanted to, have a creative business. And I thought about it and I read about it and then finally one day, I think my mom actually said to me, well, why stop talking about it? Just do it. And I think she was just saying it out of like sort of annoyed, like, I'm tired of hearing about this, Nicole, you're not doing it. And I was like, you're right. I'm going to do that. And then I did it. And then now my sister not too long ago said to me, Nicole, you're one of those people that did it. And that made me feel, it sounds so weird, but it made me feel so good to think that she saw me as someone that I would look at and admire, that they had taken something they wanted to do and followed through with that. So that would probably be it.
I love that. And because it's so true, right? So many people, like, they talk about writing that book. They talk about, starting a business. They talk about trying something and they don't do it.
They don't. Yeah. Now I'm like the person that drives everybody crazy because the minute they start saying that something, I'm like, oh, you got to do it. Okay. Like, how can we make this happen? Like,
me too.
I'll help you. Do you need me to pay you some resources? Like,
and then they're like, oh no, I didn't really mean I was going to do it. It's something I dream about. It's like, what? No, go do it.
Go do it. You can't, like, and the time's going to pass anyways, like.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. So if you could change one aspect of our society through your work, what would it be?
I feel like, I don't know if I can change it through my work, but it would be to appreciate beauty in everything, in someone's art, appreciate people's efforts, someone that is sharing something that they made from their heart, even if you think it sucks, just appreciate the energy behind that and give love to that. And I feel like if we all did that, if we all could sort of appreciate just the whole world would be a little bit happier. Even those miserable people that are judging everything would probably feel a little bit better if they felt that feeling of that appreciation. So
yeah, appreciating. I like it. Have you ever struggled with imposter syndrome, with the work that you do? And if so, how have you gotten over that?
For sure. I think we all have. I tell myself, I just do it. Like, I try not to think about that too much. And I try to think how I would, like, I try to practice what I preach and think, if I would tell someone else that's silly, don't think like that, then I need to tell myself that. So just a lot of self, love and I mean, it's just art, what is it? It's, if you make a picture, it's art. There is no one's an imposter. If they make art, they're making art, it's, I struggle with it a little bit more with things like, early on with teaching or something. I was recently asked to share my experiences with art licensing. And that was funny because it brought up some stuff because I've had art, so I licensed my art and I've had art in stores around the world, and it's something I've done, but I still don't feel like I know what I'm doing. Like, I still don't, when I went to talk about it and share, I was like, who am I to tell these people how to license their work? Because I've read accounts from other licensed artists and they seem to know so much more about the business than me, so I very much, all through the whole thing, I'm talking and I'm saying, this is just my experience. Not wanting to make sure that they know that I have no idea what I'm talking about. Even though I'm sure I have some valuable input or insight, but it's funny. That one was a big one for sure.
And it's funny where imposter syndrome will pop up, right? Because, we usually things that we're self-taught, that if we learn them ourselves, sort of the hard way, we feel like, who are we to talk about that, right? That sort
Yeah.
of thing. Whereas if we went to school for it, or if we, have a certificate in it, and it's like, but I'm in the school of hard knocks. I actually figured it out myself. I want to make that easier for you so you don't have to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's true.
Oh, yeah. Do you have an inspirational quote that you live by?
Yes, I say it to my kids all the time. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And I heard that from Wayne Dyer. I'm not sure if he's the original person that said it, but I bring it to everything, absolutely everything. Like whether it's, if I think about, okay, how can I change the way I'm looking at this? It could be a painting, or it could be just a situation in life. It could be, with everything that's gone on this past year, just changing the way I frame things and look at things. And it's a huge one.
Yes, and it's so true. I say that a lot in my coaching, is that you cannot change other people. You can change you, and in turn, others will change because they have to, because you've changed. But you cannot change other people. So yes, things around you will change. Yeah. So true. So true. Is there anything else you'd like to add for our listeners today that we maybe haven't discussed?
Oh, gosh. Well, I think just to round out, I would just, because of what we were talking about, I would just say, if you have that feeling inside of you to do something, just do it. Take a step. You don't have to, the dream, we always have, I think there's like this idea that there's this like dream that you have that's huge, and there's nothing in between, but there is a whole fun journey between what may be the huge dream, and all of that is rewarding too. Selling one painting still feels pretty darn good, even if you wish you were a $1 million artist, like it still feels good to do those little wins. So don't be afraid of that journey. You'll never regret doing it. I think that's another good, though I don't know who said it at all though, but the other thing I always think is you only regret the things you don't do. Or most often regret the things you don't do. So just do it.
Yeah, I agree with that one for sure. When you were speaking earlier, I was thinking you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
I think that was Wayne Gretzky that actually, and I'm from Edmonton,
I think
he's
so.
from here.
Good Canadian quote.
Yeah. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So it's very true. Just do it. Just try it. Find out what's going to happen.
What do you have to lose? You regret things, or like, oh, why didn't I do this sooner? Or what did I, just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
I think that one's Nike. Just do it.
That's Nike at work.
Look at all the quotes we have
now. I'm not very good at that. So.
Well, Nikol, I want to thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I've really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been fun.
To our listeners, we will see you again next week. In the meantime, have an amazingly creative day. Bye for now. Are you a daily journaler? Do you want more creativity in your day? We have 2 great creativity journals to start your day with. One for people who already have a journaling practice, and one for people who are new to journaling. Both are an amazing way to start your day. Both make the perfect gift for a person in your life. Check out Have an Amazingly Creative Day and How Do I Have an Amazingly Creative Day? Both currently available on Amazon. Click the link below to purchase yours now.